Do not ever make the mistake of thinking that children cannot have a relationship with Christ, or that they cannot have experiences with God at a very young age. I've shared elsewhere many times before about how I saw an angel when I was a young boy, and it saved my life. And this verse, in verse 10, means so much to me when it says that the angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. And that, to me, it's not just a nice, trite Bible verse when it talks about angels looking after us, but it's something I've experienced. I want to tell you another story before we sing our first song this morning, which is going to be a children's song. When I was 13 years old, I got a job at a fish and chip shop. I was peeling potatoes every Saturday morning. I would go there early in the morning and I would wash the potatoes and I would peel them. And I would get paid the grand old sum of £5, which was quite a lot there, you know, in those days. And I was saving up for a boat. I wanted to buy this little fishing boat, and I thought it would be fantastic if I could just own my own fishing boat. So I worked for months and months and months till I had £100, and this fishing boat suddenly came up for sale. It was actually the owner of the fish and chip shop. I hadn't told him what I was saving up for, but he put his boat up for sale for £100, and I said I'd like to buy it, and I bought it. And then myself and my friend, he also owned his own boat. My family home down in Hythe, Kent, is only 100 yards from the sea. And so we live very, very close to the sea. So my friend's boat used to be up on the shore by the other trawlers, the other fishermen. And mine would be up in my mother and father's drive. And if I wanted to use my boat, I would have to get the trailer. It was on a 3-wheel trailer. Pull it up to the beach, get it up to the beach, and there people would help us launch it. And mine was more suited to rod and line fishing or gill net fishing, which is in the summer where you'll take it out and get the herrings, where my friend's boat was a bit sturdier and we could use that for trammel netting and so forth. And so early in the mornings when I was a little boy, well, I'm actually not so little at 13 or 14, but when I was a young teenager, we would go and set either the trammel nets out in his boat, or we'd go and set the trammel nets out, the gill nets out in my boat. And then the next day, if the tides were right after school, we would go and collect them in, and then we would sell our catch to the local fishmonger and so forth, which earned us a bit of money. My goodness, wouldn't health and safety be all over this sort of stuff today? Local councils down there with the clipboards and stuff like that. But, back in the 80s there on a seaside town, nobody was really fussed about it. It was just the culture and just the way that, we lived down there. But one day, I had 3 friends who said it was a Sunday afternoon. And they said, Sean, can we go out in your boat? And I said, no. I said, it's too much hassle, really. I said, I'm not going to just take people for a joyride in it. And they kept persisting. I think we'd been at home playing the old, who remembers the old Spectrum 48K computer thing? I said, come on, let's go out in the boat. And eventually they talked me into it. And so we all pulled the boat up to the beach. We took it off the trailer. We launched it into the sea, and we went about 100, 150, a couple of 100 yards off of the beach. And all of a sudden, this storm just blew up out of nowhere because I hadn't checked the weather forecast. One thing you should always do, as any experienced seafarer will tell you, you always check the tides, the weather forecast, and so forth. And our boat started to get in trouble. The engine wouldn't start, one thing after the other, and this storm really started to blow up, and the boat was really just rocking and so forth. Some of the fishermen on the side of the beach were shouting to us whatever instructions they were trying to shout. And I'll tell you what happened. My friends started crying. All 3 of them started crying. And I tell you, as a man of God, I'm telling you the 100% absolute truth now. Suddenly this overwhelming peace came over me and I started laughing. I just started absolutely laughing because I had this absolute sensation, 100% conviction that everything was going to be okay. They said to me afterwards, "Why were you laughing?" I wasn't really a kind of Christian in that sense that I understood everything back then. I said, "I don't know, I just felt this absolute peace." And what happened, I took the oars and we started to row. One sort of like wave took the boat and kind of brought it closer to the shore. I turned it into another wave. The other wave brought the boat, brought it closer. And then a third wave brought the boat, landed safely on the shore. I believe God's angel was looking after me again then. I very much believe, as I look back on that thing now, that God was there in that boat with me, that Christ was. And the strangest thing of all, later that day, I went to buy some of the fish and chips, some of the chips that I'd peeled early on in the Saturday morning. And as I was going to the fish and chip shop to buy fish and chips for the family, my mum and dad had sent me down there with the money to do so. There was this old Pentecostal church. And this is the song that was playing as I walked past there. And I went and sat in the service. I didn't give my life to Christ in that service, but the preacher preached about Christ being in the boat with you. My storm wasn't calmed, but we were kept safe for it. So we're going to sing a children's song this morning. With Jesus in the boat, I can smile at the storm.